Erie. It's Monday, April 21st. Just checking my notes. April 21st. It's been a while. I'm feeling a little rusty here this morning, fellas. I'm going to need your help today. Oh, my gosh.
We're just glad you're back.
I'm glad. Listen, it's good to be back. You know?
Anytime you're gone, we have like crazy technical difficulties when I'm in charge, and it's like, no, we got to get Nick in here.
See, but I do that on purpose because I want you guys to feel like you need me. I'm easily replaced, so I'm trying to make myself replaceable.
Job security.
There you go. It's working.
Oh, gosh. Never alone here, though. Nick Artman, Paul Adamczak, Rich Smith here in the studio. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. It's getting warmer. We're headed in the right direction. Easter was good. Easter was fun.
Yeah.
So happy to be here on a Monday.
Absolutely. Rich?
I'm okay. Those watching the stream get to see the back of my head again.
We're doing some shuffling today, trying some new cameras out and playing around with the system. But I mean, we're still stuck in the studio, and good old Isaac Petcash hanging out in the golf course today.
Hey, boys, I'll tell you what. This might make you feel better. The second you started speaking, Mr. Nick Artman, the sun came out.
See?
Yeah.
I think that speaks good omens for the man back in the chair. I will say, Paul, the sun stayed out while you were speaking as well as you, Rich. So positive to all three of you this morning. I think this is the man above's way of telling you everything's all right.
So what I'm hearing is you owe us a round of golf. That's what I'm hearing.
Right.
I'm not playing. I don't have my clubs in the back. I've got a camera. I'm a working man today.
Working man today.
That is a wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
What, Gannon doesn't let you suit up as part of the team?
I mean, look, I can showcase a really good 102 on the scorecard. I'm not sure where that would get me, but maybe I can be the alternate player, right?
102. I don't think if you took my best putt score and doubled it, I don't think I'd hit 102. Well, anyway, happy Easter, fellas. Welcome back. I don't know about you guys. I'm still, reeling from the effects of all the ham I ate over the weekend. So we did back-to-back days, both Saturday and Sunday. So I'm, I'll be good if I don't eat for the next 48 hours.
That's good. We got the old Bob Evans meal yesterday, so it was good. I've got no complaints. We didn't get anything home cooked, but
Yeah.
Bob, we appreciate him.
Bob helps out all the time.
Oh yeah,
Hey, you don't have to clean up afterwards. You can just throw out the to-go containers.
that was the best part.
Isaac, and you got little ones. How was the Easter egg hunt? Did you guys do one?
It was wonderful. Bennett is a huge holiday fan, so he was
Nice.
all over the place finding eggs. I'll tell you what, though. That kid ate more candy than his body weight this weekend. he is hyped up. I mean, I have never seen him eat that much, and just goes to show, man, you can never have too much of the good old goodies at home, apparently.
I saw this parenting meme that was like, Easter egg hunts are proof that your kids just never want to pick up their room.
Easter miracle. My son actually did clean up his room over the weekend.
See,
I'm
there
just
we
saying.
go. There we go. See, miracles still happen.
If you've seen my son's room, that is a miracle.
Well, we don't have any miracles.
Find Hoffa.
We don't have any miracles to talk about, but we do have some players of the week in high school sports to get into. So let's dive into the North Shore Rewind. All right, baseball, softball, track, lacrosse, you name it. The spring sports are back in action. We got players, we got games all over the county to cover. So we're bringing back the D10 Players of the Week as we are really just kind of still starting that spring season, but the weather is breaking. It's time to bring it back. So I'm going to go ahead and go first on this one. And I'm going to start, and honestly, I've been going back and forth all morning, but I'm going to go softball. I'm going over to Seneca. Because Sophia Primavera, I should know this as my Italian grandfather is probably killing me right now. Sophia Primavera drove in 10 runs in Seneca's 15-0 shutout of Eisenhower, highlighted by a 3-run double. That's pretty good. A 3-run homer, even better. Oh, but you know what? Let's just throw in a grand slam as well. Sophia and Seneca, off to a great start this year. Seneca sitting in
That's what happens
second.
when you don't eat ham back-to-back days.
Yeah, I ate a grand slam yesterday. That's what I had. But Seneca currently sits in second place in Region 3, 2-0 in league play, 7-0 overall, sitting behind Union City there. All right, IP, let's go to you. Remember, one.
All right. So, yeah, one. Okay. All right. I got you. This is not necessarily a player of the week. Honestly, he could be because he's been so well this season. But I'm going to go with the lovable lefty out of General McLean and Kellen Shelton, the pitcher for the General McLean Lancers, who has been on fire recently. As of this weekend, and I'm not sure what he did over the weekend, he had a sub-1 ERA. He won his first 3 games of the season. This General McLean team is going to be scary. They just picked up their first loss of the season to Saegertown, who is a dominant team in their own right. Outside of that, they have been wonderful under Tom Payton's leadership down in southern Erie County. They got a huge game coming up with McDowell this week. I really hope it is Kellen who gets the ball. I don't know what his thing is with pitch count or whether he's able to throw or not. But this guy's got a great mix of pitches. I saw him throw last year. He, again, clearly a guy that was continuing to get better, a work in progress. He is scary this year. His stuff is lights out, and he is somebody we're going to be talking about through the spring season over at General McLean. So I'll go Kellen Shelton.
No, it's a good one. Sounds like a good one. Paulie?
Well, no surprise, I'm going to take you guys out to the track. My District 10 Player of the Week, Hank Partridge from Cathedral Prep, won all 4 of his events last week, both hurdle events and 2 jumps during the Ramblers' 111-37 dual meet victory over Erie High. Guys, you can only compete in 4 events per meet. He won all 4 of them, and in 3 of them, he PR'd. In the 110 hurdles, ran his PR 16.78. It's a good time. That's a district qualifying time. Won the 300 hurdles with a time of 42.74. Not his PR. The PR is 41.5, so he was about a second off there, but we'll see that come down as the weather gets warmer. 41.5, though, this may be a guy we see running down at Shippensburg in about a month. Won the long jump, 18 feet, 10.5 inches, PR. Run the triple jump, 38.6. So we were approaching like District 10 champion in that triple. So very, very good week by Hank Partridge. Was not a warm week last week, so I expect those times and distances to get even better as the year goes on. Good week for the senior.
I love it. I used to think Pee Wee hockey was my favorite, like junior league, like kids leagues to watch play sports. Man, my daughter is going out for track and field this year, and watching like a 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade track and field event is comedy gold. Trying to watch them try and do the long jump or throw shot put, it was you could find some material for weeks if you head on over to there.
Listen, I get middle school kids, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, 2 days a week. Now, that's chaos sometimes. So I can't imagine those 1st, 2nd, 3rd graders, man.
So good.
Absolutely
so
fantastic.
Good. We'll put some stuff out on socials. All right, you ready for a 2-minute drill?
Let's do it.
Let's get it.
All right. 3 of District 10's top girls basketball stars, Addie Beal from Cathedral Prep, Lake Fields from Kennedy Catholic, and Michaela Presser-Palmer from Northwestern, earned first-team All-State honors over the weekend. Fields was named 2A Player of the Year for a 3rd straight season after topping 2,000 career points. Presser-Palmer led D10 in scoring at 28.3 points per game and is closing in on 2,000 career points as a junior. The Erie Otters season ended in a 4-3 overtime loss to London on Thursday as Sam O'Reilly scored the game winner to complete the Knights' 4-game sweep in the OHL Western Conference semifinals. Erie goalie Charlie Burns made 46 saves, while Pano Fimis had a goal and 2 assists in his final game as an Otter. The Erie Seawolves capped along a strong week by taking 4 of 6 games from the Akron Rubber Ducks, improving to 10-5 on the season. Highlights included an 8-run 4th inning and an 8-7 comeback win on April 15th, a 6-run 5th inning leading to a 6-2 victory on April 19th, and a 5-1 win yesterday in the finale, sparked by Chris Meyer's 2-run triple. Next, Erie hits the road for a 6-game series against the Binghamton Rumble Ponies, starting tomorrow. Again, in softball, split a road doubleheader at Cal PA, powered by a record-setting performance from Abby German. After dropping Game 1 8-4 despite Sadie Carroll's 4-for-4 effort, the Golden Knights bounced back with a 10-8 win in Game 2. German drove in a program record 8 RBIs, including a grand slam and a 2-run double. Erie Mercyhurst women's lacrosse rolled past CCSU 19-6 on the road, notching a 3rd straight NEC win. Emma Semino led with 4 goals, while Whitley Easton added 6 points. The Lakers outscored CCSU 8-2 in the second half and got 10 total saves from goalies A.J. Jameson and Maggie Allen.
Could you imagine a girls' basketball team with Addie Beal, Lake Fields, and MPP on the same team?
Wild, dude. That'd be a fun one to watch.
Speaking of a fun one to watch, when we get back, we're going to be talking about the Cavs' first playoff game against the Miami Heat. It was a fun one to watch. It was a good maybe setup to the rest of the season. We'll get in, or the rest of the playoffs, I should say. We'll get more into that when we get back. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill.
Since 1980.
Welcome back. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. Happy Easter Monday, everybody. We're having a good time here in the studio. Not as good as Isaac. I'm so jealous. Every time we cut to Isaac's camera, I'm like, gosh.
Literally telling you guys, you're going to laugh at this. So during the entire commercial break, it was cloudy. Second we get back, the sun comes out. I'm telling you guys. No lie here. This is an omen.
I'm here for you, buddy.
We've got God producing today.
Keeping my comments to myself. I don't know if I said it, so I'm going to say it again. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. But what I do want to talk about is I do want to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. And, you know, if you're a fan of this show, and if not, learn it now. You know how much I love talking about Cleveland. But we do need to talk about the Cavs.
Talking Cavs.
We do like talking
There's no
Cavs.
Pittsburgh basketball team.
No. And I remember, so one of my really good friends is from Cleveland, and we've had this conversation. I said, can I be a Cavs fan since Pittsburgh doesn't have a basketball team? And we kind of landed on, okay, yes, if he can be a Pens fan since Cleveland doesn't have a hockey team.
I was going to say the same thing. That makes total sense.
Yeah, so we'll round that out.
And we're all, in agreement that nobody wants to be a Flyers or a 76ers fan.
Right. Get Philly out of here. We're good.
Listen, we're all rooting against the Ravens, so let's just come together on that.
But in game one of the Eastern Conference playoffs, the Cavaliers do defeat the Miami Heat by a score of 121-100. And this game, I think for me, when I look at this game, and Isaac, I'll come to you first, is I see Cleveland kind of doing what they're supposed to do, right? Typically the first round of the playoffs or the first game in a playoff series, teams are kind of posturing, they're figuring each other out. And I think what I saw from Cleveland was what I had hoped to see. You saw, obviously, Donovan Mitchell leading the team with 30 points. You saw Darius Garland right behind him with 27. And then I think even maybe more impressive and what I hope to see more of, and I think what is going to be a key if the Cavs hope to make it far in this playoff series, is you got Ty Jerome scoring 28 off the bench. So I think for me, this was a great first game. I like to see them step up, and I mean, not that the Heat are a great team this year, but I think you saw what you wanted to see out of your stars in Cleveland. IP, how say you?
Yeah, I actually came out of this game really concerned, to be quite honest with you, and I don't necessarily think it. And it's not to counter what you said, Nick, but, I think for me, Ty Jerome is a huge part. Obviously, we've talked with Sean Pebbles about him and DeAndre Hunter and how those two off the bench are such key players. But the way that this game went along and the fact that Miami was able to, after Cleveland came out and started the game up double digits within a couple of minutes, they just didn't put the game away like they were supposed to until the fourth quarter.
Gotcha.
And the way I view it is this. I don't think the way they played last night is going to get them in trouble against Miami. I don't think it's going to get them in trouble in the second round. But I think there needs to be a standard set by this Cleveland team in the postseason early that they are not a squad that when they get ahead that you can come back on them. That's something that they have to establish early on. And I think if we played this game yesterday, but it's Boston sitting there, I think Cleveland probably loses the game by 15 points. Miami doesn't have the sharpshooters to be, outside of Tyler Hero, to be able to stop what Cleveland can do from the three-point line. But my concern is just now as we get further along in the postseason, because I'm not worried about the Miami series, if you're in a situation where you can't run a team out of the building and it stays close, is Cleveland capable of winning tight games? And I was really nervous yesterday with what I saw for three quarters, to be quite honest with you.
No, I think that's a fair argument because you expect them to take down the Heat, but maybe the game was a little closer. And maybe it's a game of they were just kind of pacing them in the second and third because, they won handedly in the first and the fourth quarter, but the second and third, the game was a little closer. So, was that the Cavs just kind of feeling it out, taking it easy? Or, to your point, is it the Heat kind of stepping up? We have a shared Google Doc that we keep for our rundown, and we're putting our notes in here. And I saw this question in here, and I had no doubt that it was written by Isaac. For the Cavs playoffs, is anything less than 2 straight sweeps in the playoffs considered subpar? Paul, I'm coming to you.
I don't think so. I think you get 2 gentlemen sweeps to start things out. I think this is the NBA playoffs. Everybody's good. The Miami Heat, for what you say, and the lack of playmakers, will say Coach Spoelstra is as good as they come from a coaching perspective in the NBA. He's going to give you everything that you can handle. Isaac, I don't disagree in that the Cavs kind of played around with the Heat for 3 quarters before they put them away in the fourth. But I also think that 8-point lead heading into quarter 4 that turns into a 21-point victory kind of shows that when the Cavs want to put foot on throat, they have the closers to do it. Ty Jerome had 16 of his 28 in the fourth quarter. The Cavs' top trio of guards had 85 of the Cavs' 121 points. 2 of their best bigs, Mobley and Jared Allen, for Ohio, didn't even have great games last night, and they still win by 20-plus points. So I'm with you in the matchup with the Celtics is the one that we're going to be watching. I think the Heat take one of the games in this series, probably Game 3 in Miami, if not Game 4, but Cavs win it in 5. And then the next series, I think the same thing. I think the Cavs, I don't want to say get humbled, but they're going to win 4-1 in another series because they're the better team, but
Right.
Winning 4-0 in series is so rare anymore that you're just looking at to be super, super dominant. I think it happens more often than not that you're going to get a gentleman's sweep in both, and I'm not worried if they drop 2 games of their first 10.
To your point, Paul, I'm with you. I think the fourth quarter was really, really impressive from Cleveland. My concern, though, is this. If you play that way against Boston, and again, I know you don't want to look ahead, but you have to, right? Because that's the expectation. You're expected to, at worst, be in the conference finals playing against the Celtics.
Agreed.
If they play that way for 36 minutes against Boston, the way they did yesterday, they're down 15 entering the fourth quarter. They're not up 8. And so that, to me, is my concern. And, Darius Garland was the second leading scorer on the team. I thought he had an awful first half. Yeah. So, if you can get the bench production that you got in Game 1 yesterday for the whole playoffs, this team's going to be really hard to beat the whole playoffs. But my question is it consistent enough, and can you play better in the first 3 quarters enough to be able to make sure that, okay, we have a healthy lead entering the fourth? Because I just think if it's a Boston team there yesterday, they're probably down double digits heading into the final 12 minutes.
Well, yeah, and you got to wonder, too, if it was Boston or OKC, do they play that level of competition? Do they play that? Honestly, they look not flat, but they looked a little passive in Game 1. But do they play that same style against an OKC or a Boston?
I don't know. I just think to the flip side of Isaac's point is when you're going to play a Boston or an OKC, like you said, I think you have to expect to play in close games. I don't think you walk into the playoffs and go, we have to be up by 15 at the top of the fourth or we have no chance. I think you're going to have to play close games and get used to playing in close games and have that ability to step up in the fourth when it matters most. I don't think Boston's up by 15 at the end of 3 against the Cavs. I think, one team's going to be leading more often than not, but that you're going to have to battle for that fourth quarter. We're not going to see games that are by halftime, they're the better team and they're just going to walk away with it. So I like being battle tested. I like being hardened as we go through the playoff series. So once we get to a Boston, we say, oh yeah, we're used to playing a team that can hang with us, and we're used to being able to step up our game in the fourth.
Well, I think you can make the argument, too, that the NBA playoffs are long, similar to the NHL, right, where you have 7-game series. You know that you're going to have some heavier hitters later on. Not that you're ever not taking a team seriously. I'm not saying they're not taking the Heat seriously, because the Heat, even though they're 37-45 on the year, can still play ball.
First 10 seed to advance in the playoffs out of the play-in tournament. So, once again, we talk about Heat culture,
right?
And it's the Spoelstra effect. It doesn't really matter who the starting 5 are out there.
Yeah.
Spo's going to put them in the right position.
So let me ask you this, because I think one of the things that kind of handicapped them last year was the not having enough star power to make a deep playoff run. Obviously Garland had a good game, good second half, but Donovan Mitchell, I think, looked like the star that the Cavs are going to need.
Yes.
Going deep into the playoffs. So I guess my question is this, and I'll leave it open to whoever wants to jump in first. Do they have the stars playing at the level that they need to? They're healthy this year to I don't want to look past Miami, but are the stars playing like the level that they need to play to make a deep playoff run this year?
I'm gonna go to what, if you don't mind, guys, I'm gonna go to what Sean Pebble said last week. They just have to be healthy. I mean, they clearly have the depth and the star power to be able to win the NBA championship. There's zero question about that. My thing is health. You saw Donovan tweak something, in the middle of game 1 yesterday, ended up being able to finish out the game. I wonder if Jared Allen and Evan Mobley can both hold up for 4 series, because again, big guys, injury prone. When you get to Boston, you're going to have to deal with guys like Horford and Porzingis in tight. I just think if this team can be healthy, they're clearly going to be a front runner for the NBA championship. If not, then you're looking at a situation where it could be dicey, because because now all of a sudden Ty Jerome, guys like DeAndre Hunter have to start. And so that's something that I think would be concerning for me.
Well, no, I agree. And even to lose that lack of depth, that lack of bench depth, which I think that's their strength going into the playoffs. I mean, Mitchell, is playing really well, and he seems to step it up into the playoffs, right? You put this in the doc, and I saw it as well, Paul. The 7th straight series where Mitchell has scored at least 30 points in game 1, tying Michael Jordan, who had 2 streaks of 7 games. So, Mitchell is stepping up. Garland is stepping up. But if you're counting on Ty Jerome to start and put up those numbers, I agree with IP. I think it's going to be a tough series to overcome.
I'm with the both of you, and I was going to pretty much say the same thing that Isaac said. Do they have the star power to compete? Yeah, absolutely. But talk to me in 3-4 weeks when we start the series against Boston, hopefully, and how is that health at that point in time?
So on the Miami side, is there anybody that you're looking to maybe bounce back from this game or to be a problem in the next couple?
Hero had 21, Adebayo had 24, and I think Adebayo is the player on that team that you have to watch, because he is unlike just about anybody in the NBA, a big with that level of athleticism. You put him in the NFL, and he's like freaky level defensive end. You're talking about a first-round draft pick with just the body type and the athletic prowess. So he had 24 points in kind of a quiet game. So he's the kind of guy who could go for 45 and kind of stifle the bigs in Cleveland. But the good news is you're not going to see a guy like him the rest of the way in the playoffs. So I think if you can quiet Adebayo, I think if Hero doesn't go 15 of 21 from 3, I think you've got a good shot. I think the 2 guys that they have on that roster that worry me had the 2 best games for that team last night, and the Cavs had more than enough to kind of sequester that.
No, I think that's fair, and I'm already prepping for the overreaction Monday when they win the championship, and Isaac goes, so does this solidify Donovan Mitchell's mural over LeBron James' legacy? We will see. Hey, before we take our next break, I want to take a second and thank all of our sponsors: Quick Fill, Dauber Auto Supply, John's Wildwood Pizza, Denny's Sales and Service. Without them, we wouldn't be here with you. When we get back, we welcome back Doug White to talk about a really special event coming up in Erie. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. Welcome back. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. Listen, we did if you missed it, go back and catch the podcast. Honestly, we're terrible at mentioning that. Go back and check the podcast. We are part of the Gem City Sports Network, so just find us anywhere you get your podcast. Check out the socials at Gem City SN. But go back August? We did our Mount Rushmore segment, Mount Rushmore segment?
Yes, when we came on air for the first time in the morning.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, that feels like forever ago.
It does. But it was August. I want to say the 24th,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, look at you. Fact check them, and you can just
fact check me for
at
sure.
Paul when he's wrong. But one of the guys that we talked about.
Or anytime. Wrong, right, whatever you want.
Again, that's at Gem City SN. But one of the guys that we, unanimously put on, and you saw this in even the fan voting, that was unanimously put on the Erie Sports Mount Rushmore was Fred Biletnikoff. And if you don't know who that is, Google it, and shame on you. But if you don't know who he is, you get a chance to see him return to Erie because the Jefferson Educational Society is honoring Erie native Fred Biletnikoff with the Thomas B. Hagen Dignitas Award in May. Here to help us kind of talk about what that is, what that means, and a little bit of background about the award, we welcome back Doug White. Doug, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Good to be here.
No, absolutely. Thanks for bringing the good weather with you, too. This is the first nice weekend we've had down here.
Absolutely. I take full credit.
Done. So you know what? Give us a little bit of backstory, on the award, what makes this so special, and maybe a little bit of what makes it so special for Fred to come back and accept this award.
Well, Fred's very, very excited about it. When he was approached by the Jefferson Society back, I think, in the summer, last summer about it, he actually called me because he wasn't real sure what was going on with it and what the Jefferson Society was. And I certainly don't speak for them, but they do a wonderful, wonderful job. And it's part of their originally he was going to be here in November, which is in the middle. I think they call it their summit, where they bring in presidents and and everything else. And he wasn't able to do it. He's still recovering a bit. He had shoulder surgery, pretty serious shoulder surgery. And I remember I'd asked him about it, and I said, "Is this left over from football?" And he told me the time and the date and the place where it happened. And I don't remember the date, but it was in Denver in a playoff game, and he went across the middle, and Randy Gradishar lit him up and put him upside down, and he ended up messing up his shoulder. And the best part about the story was he goes back to the Hall of Fame ceremonies just about every year. Sure. Mm-hmm. Well, Randy Gradishar was being inducted last year. And Fred knew as soon as he got back to California, he had the surgery done in, I don't know, July or something like that. And he said, "That's the guy I got to see, the guy that lit me up right before I got to have the surgery." And he talked a little bit about the healthcare in the NFL back then wasn't. I think he told me it consisted of a cot. And maybe a stethoscope. I mean, now you go to stadiums, they're like hospitals, and they got operating rooms and everything else. But back then it was. I think he said he got some medicine in a closet in the Denver airport. But, those were the days back then. But that's how long he had been dealing with it, and he's had some issues with it, but he's feeling much better, and he's very excited about being back. And then as we went through it, and we got, he was talking with the Jefferson Society and saw some of the people, Tom Ridge and a number of people that have received this award.
Yeah.
The one thing that I always say about Freddie, we've been great friends for, well over 25 years, is he never forgot where he came from.
Sure.
To give you an example of that, last time he was here, he did a speech, or he did a visit. The Seawolves wanted him to throw out the first pitch. So they called me, and I called him up. I said, "Freddie, they want you to throw out the first pitch." He said, "I only have one request." And I'm thinking, what is this going to be? And he says, "I want to go to batting practice."
Okay.
Oh.
So I called Gagne up over there, and I said, "Hey, he wants to go to batting practice." Back a while ago, they used to have it right before the game. Now they have it like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
Yeah, people can't get in. So I didn't think it would. So he's on the batting cage, and he's watching all these guys. And Gabe Alvarez was the manager at the time, and he called him over, and he said, "What am I looking for?" And I just sat there, and I'm thinking, here's this football Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
that could catch anything anywhere near him. And he was more concerned about, is it where his bat is where his left leg is, or whatever. Yeah. And they were going back and forth, and I was just amazed by it. But at the end of it, Gabe came over and he said, "Would you speak to the team?" Mm-hmm. So we went back in the locker room, and Freddie laid it out.
Yeah.
I'm a professional athlete. And
sure.
He said,
his experience alone,
some of you guys are going to end up making, millions and millions of dollars, which he never made.
Sure.
Right.
But he said, even some of the guys that aren't doing well are still going to make probably more than he made when he played. But he made it very, very clear that they had an obligation to remember where they came from.
That's cool.
And he sat there for, I don't know, a couple hours there.
Yeah.
And we were walking out and he wasn't polite. I mean, he told them,
he's honest. Yeah.
Stay, you got to stay focused. You got to stay clean and all that other.
Yeah.
So we're walking out the door, and I said, I've heard him speak many times, and he said, "That's my adult speech."
So let's talk, because he's not getting this award because of his experience in the NFL and in college football. I mean, obviously he's a Pro Football Hall of Famer. He's a College Football Hall of Famer. I mean, the top wide receiver in college football in the country. The award is named after him. But that's not why he's getting this award from JES, right? Can you tell us a little about what he's doing?
He's getting this award, as I understand it, for the totality, if you would, of his life.
Yeah.
He's he's obviously known for football. He is one of the great philanthropists of all time in my book. And it was focused on, he had a tragic situation where his daughter was murdered, and a lot of people would probably just tuck it in and
sure,
and let the world be rotten, and he wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And he has spent countless hours and millions of dollars to build facilities out first up in the Oakland area where he lived. Now he lives in the Sacramento area,
yeah.
And he's got some things there. As a matter of fact, the week before he gets here, he'll be in Tallahassee doing some fundraising. He has the foundation has a daycare center attached somehow to Florida State University.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Where he went to school. So he's actually going to be down there the week. He's flying up here directly from Tallahassee.
Nice.
But really, it's a matter of what he's done in his life. He's just...
And, of course, famously, he's got Biletnikoff Field here now.
Yes.
What was recently redone, 32nd and Peachtree. What's going on with that?
Well, he always would... That sign that was up there was just atrocious. And,
it reminded me of something out of like a 90s movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was there for like 30 years.
It was dated. It was dated.
Dated. It was. I think they pushed it over. I mean, it was hardly any, and it needed to be done. And actually, we took the initiative to get that thing done. But when he would come back, I purposely wouldn't take him. He always wanted to go back there, and I would go the other way, so we didn't have to. So he pushed. He worked hard to get this field done.
Yeah.
And that's one of the days that he's here. He's going to spend some time up there because he was here for the, what do you call it, the groundbreaking. You've seen pictures, and some friends of mine did some drone stuff, and we sent it out to him there.
Yeah.
So he's very. They did the gym as well, and he played basketball there. So he's. But I want to tell you a quick story, if we have a second, about the field.
Yeah, we got about a minute.
Okay, he calls me one day and he says, "How many guys are working on the field?" I don't know.
Not me.
I mean, every time I drive by, there's guys. I mean, the work that they had to do, the drainage and all that stuff. So it's the middle of summer, and he calls me, and he said, "See if you can find out for me." I said, "Okay." So I called Neil Brockman over to the school district. I said, "Freddie wants to know how many guys are working on the field." "Why?" "I don't have any idea." He asked me that. So it was 10 or something like that. So I called him back that afternoon. I said, "You got 10 guys working over there?" And he said, "Okay." And he calls me in the morning, and he ordered food. He fed the construction crew.
That's cool.
I mean, nobody knew it.
Sure.
And he said, "Would you go over there and make sure it gets there and all that stuff?" So he had called. I don't know who he called.
Yeah.
Actually, I do know who he called. He called Gary Paparelli, who's a buddy of his from Bullfrogs.
Sure.
And told him what he was wanting to do. And Gary sent all this food over there. And these construction guys were telling me that they're building stuff for 30, 40 years, he
Yeah.
said nobody ever bought me lunch. But he didn't do it for the cameras or anything like that. He did that a half a dozen times during the summer.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And this is such a well-deserved award, too. Again, not just because of the football, but because of everything else. So May 21st, from Erie to the Hall of Fame, Life Legacy of Fred Biletnikoff, the 2024 recipient of the Thomas B. Hagen Dignitas Award, held at 7 p.m. at the Jefferson Educational Society. Quickly, where can people buy tickets?
Through the Jefferson Society website.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, so get your tickets, get your hands on those, and get an opportunity to meet and greet an Erie legend. All right, we got to take a break, but when we get back, we're diving into our NFL Draft Easter baskets to find hopefully some gifts. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. Welcome back. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. Appreciate you, Doug. Doug's just stepping out here. We had a great conversation. Again, if you missed it, you're too late, but go back and check out the podcast, Gem City Sports Network, anywhere you go. Doug did want to mention real quick before we leave that when I lost it in my notes, so Paul, I'm going to throw it to you.
Oh, yes. Fred Biletnikoff. There's going to be an autograph signing at Bullfrogs May 24th from noon to 2. Proceeds benefit the Biletnikoff Foundation, Erie Public Schools, and the Boys and Girls Club of Erie.
Yeah.
So like a private, not private, but like an intimate event with Fred. All the money goes to 3 very worthwhile organizations, 2 of them based right here in Erie County, so you'll love to see that.
No, you'll love to see that too. And seriously, you know, Biletnikoff is a Hall of Famer, not even just from the pro level, but from the college level, and even just from, you know, a philanthropy perspective as well. So cool to see him come back, and well-deserved of the award. Hopefully we get a chance to talk to him as well, because that would be too much fun. Too much fun.
We'll move some stuff around to make sure that we get Freddie B. If not live, at least I think we can do like a recorded thing.
We're going to try.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll figure it out. We'll meet him at the airport or something.
Speaking of trying, a lot of NFL teams are going to try and better themselves this weekend, starting on Thursday. See what I did there?
That's pretty good.
I'm a pro. Welcome back. I'm back in the swing of things. They're going to try and better themselves here in the NFL draft starting on Thursday and going through the weekend. So what we thought we would do, coming off the heels of the Easter Bunny, we thought we would open up our Easter baskets and see what do we hope the Rust Belt teams get in their Easter baskets this weekend as we look ahead. So you know what? Let's kind of do this in draft order. So, Paul, I'm going to come to you first.
Sure.
Let's take a look at Cleveland. Sitting at number 2, what are they going to do? What do they hope to find in their Easter basket this draft weekend?
Oh, well, they have several needs heading into the 2025 NFL Draft. Quarterback, offensive tackle, defensive line, wide receiver, linebacker, running back. And that's really
Football
just
team.
right, the tip of the iceberg. So with the number 2 overall pick, and it's pretty well known at this point that Cam Ward, the quarterback from the University of Miami, is going number 1. So you can kind of take that off the board. That leaves you with a lot of options. Blue chip players in this draft, I would say the next 4 best players are, in no particular order, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, Ashton Genty, and Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan. So with any of those 4, the Browns are probably going to be in better position coming out than they would be going in. That said, when you're picking that high, you're looking at premium positions. So you're thinking offensive tackle, defensive end, cornerback, wide receiver, quarterback. Is there a quarterback there worthy of the number 2 spot? I don't think so. I think really this comes down to one of 2 players. Do you take the edge rusher, outside linebacker, defensive end combo in Abdul Carter, or do you take the unicorn wide receiver corner that is Travis Hunter? If you would have asked me 5 days ago, I would have said it's Abdul Carter, send the pick in. We're on to pick 3. After spending the weekend in Cleveland, I'm not so sure. I think Travis Hunter may be the pick here. I don't hate it. I don't absolutely love it. I can see why they would do it. They have needs at both positions. Greg Newsome is going to be gone there sooner rather than later. Not Joe Hayden. Oh my gosh, what year is it, Paul? Denzel Ward has been I'm really sorry. That was a slip of the tongue.
You've been deep into the draft weeds recently, so we'll give you a pass.
Denzel Ward seems to have a concussion issue. Fantastic when he's on the field, but the greatest ability in football is availability. So Travis Hunter kind of fills 2 needs. You need an alpha dog wide receiver. Jerry Jeudy's nice, but outside of him, what do you have? On the cornerback spot, defensive back, Hunter can play slot. He can play boundary. You can move him back to safety. I think Travis Hunter, as of this moment, and this could change before Wednesday night when we do the mock draft special, I think Travis Hunter, as I sit here today, is probably the most likely pick for the Browns at 2.
I think you're 100% right. And I love Abdul Carter. We've talked a lot about him. Honestly, we should have thought about having T. Frank on to give us some deep insights into
not a bad
Abdul.
idea.
We've been talking about him for
if
the
I'm
entire
making
season.
the pick, it's Abdul Carter.
Right. But we're not. And the Browns are. But I think you're right, because let's go back. Let's take a look at this from a broad perspective. And,
sure.
Myles Garrett was ready to get out of Cleveland. He was, I'm leaving. I don't want to be here. And then all of a sudden, he said, I want to know what the plans are if I'm going to stay. So then he's staying.
Yes.
Who do you think is a better player for Myles Garrett to say, okay, yeah, I'm going to stay for this? And I think that shows you Travis Hunter. Not that Abdul Carter is competition for Garrett. I think Carter and Garrett on a defensive team would be incredible to watch play.
I agree.
But I think that they need that, what Travis Hunter can bring. And like you said, I think if he comes to Cleveland and he said he wants to play both sides, I think Cleveland lets him play. A buddy of mine, Mike, a big Browns fan, he said, if the Browns organization can find a way to get 2 players out of 1, they're going to do it. So I do think you get Travis Hunter, you let him play both ways.
From a budget perspective, I don't disagree. I think the question you posed about Myles Garrett is interesting. What do the Browns do with number 2 to make life easier? To make life easier for Myles Garrett specifically, putting Abdul Carter on that defense opens up a lot for Myles, because now who are you going to double team? You're going to try to single both guys and think you win every rep every time? Probably not.
Yeah.
What's better for the Cleveland Browns as a unit? Maybe Travis Hunter, because like you said, I think he's going to be a defensive player that has some wide receiver package ability, as opposed to a wide receiver with some defensive player package ability.
Yeah.
That's my best guess.
No, I think
Travis has said that he is refusing to go to a team that won't allow him to play both ways. I think the Browns are unique in that they have an opportunity for him to play both sides of the ball.
And I think they may have been in on Shedeur Sanders for a little bit, but then whenever you go and trade for Kenny Pickett, you sign Joe Flacco, you still have Watson on the team, I think you've pretty much played your hand at that point.
I think the Browns realize that there's no quarterback worthy of the 2nd overall pick, so they filled that with a non-draft position, and they're just going to kind of push that need out for another year.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right, well, let's jump over to Buffalo. Now, when you think about Buffalo the last couple of years, they've either moved down or traded their 1st-round draft pick to Kansas City. IP left me a note before he left the show. He goes, so, with the Bills, they won't pick in the 1st round, but they will use their pick to trade for a star wide receiver. I think that would be interesting. But Paul, as our resident draft expert, what do you think the Bills are going to end up with in their Easter basket by the end of the weekend?
I'm looking at probably a player on the defensive side of the ball. They need corner, they need defensive tackle, they need safety. They pick 30th overall. So when I do this, I never project trades. Trades happen. There may be some already in the works, but we're not going to know about it until really that pick comes up. So that said, they pick 30th overall. This is maybe the best defensive tackle class we've seen in at least the last, I go back 22 years that I've been following the draft pretty heavily. I think that you're going to have a stud defensive tackle there available at the 30th overall pick. I have them selecting Derek Harmon, 3 technique, 5 technique out of Oregon. I think he fits next to Ed Oliver extremely well. I think they go corner and safety with their next 2 picks. If they decide to use that 30th overall pick on a wide receiver, you have to. It's not just okay. This is what we want with this pick. It's you need to find a trading partner.
Sure.
Who's trading up to 30 for a player that's there that has a wide receiver they're willing to give up.
Right.
That's a question I don't know the answer to.
And that you're willing to pay a first-round pick for.
That you're willing to play essentially an early second-round pick. Because at pick 30, you know what I mean? It's not like you're picking in the top 15 players.
No, and it's not a deep blue chip draft.
It's not. The player that you get at 12, 13 is about the same quality of play you're going to get at 45 to 50. So moving up, I mean, you're going to have to have a team like the Falcons or something with somebody with very, like a lot of draft capital.
Right.
But that need to move up for that player there. And I don't know, the quarterbacks get interesting once you get to the end of that first round. Does somebody really like Jalen Milroe? Is Jackson Dart still sitting there? Did the Steelers select somebody else at 21 and Sanders is still there on the board at 30? Do we trade a future first or second round pick to get back into one? I don't know. Pick 30 is going to be, it's up in the air. We're not going to know until Thursday night.
Well, and drafts get crazy too.
Right.
No, I think defense is the pick here. I mean, they have Rousseau, they have Oliver, they go out and sign Joey Bosa, who may not be the Joey Bosa of old, but can still pull some sacks out as well.
When he plays.
Right. So I think the defense is there. I do see them. I mean, there is a need at wide receiver. Keon Coleman wasn't much last year.
Nope.
They, Shakir is their probably top receiver right now. They go sign Josh Palmer in the offseason. So I could see them going that route. But at 30, I mean, it's just not a deep wide receiver draft.
I agree.
All right, let's head down to Pittsburgh. And when I look at the Steelers' Easter basket, I open up, the little plastic egg that Grandma puts some money or some chocolate in or whatever. And what I see is a giant Post-it note that says, draft anyone not named Aaron Rodgers. So I think whether you're going to draft a quarterback, whether you're going to go out and trade somebody, there was news out from Adam Schefter at ESPN this morning that said that the Falcons are willing to deal Kirk Cousins if the new team will take on $20 million guaranteed. If I'm Pittsburgh, I jump on that.
Yep,
I go ahead and
agree.
say, forget Aaron Rodgers and everything that's been going on with all that chaos that he's brought this year. Go get a guy like Kirk Cousins to pair with DK. But in the draft, I'm afraid the Steelers are going to draft a quarterback at 21. I just, that you saw it in the Pickett year. I hope they don't reach for a guy like Jackson Dart. I think they have a lot of holes on the defensive line. So I think you look at, Derek Harmon, Walter Nolan, Kenneth Grant. I think those are some names that you could see fall there that I would hope for. I think that's their biggest need is the defensive line. How say you?
I don't disagree one bit. I mentioned the deep defensive line. The edge class is great. The defensive tackle class is great. That entire defensive front. You're going to get a quality player in the first round. You can get a quality player in the second, third, and fourth round. So the only caveat to that mode of thinking is, why would I use a first-round pick on a guy that I can essentially get the same value later on in the draft? And the Steelers, mind you, are without their second-round pick. They traded it to Seattle for DK Metcalf. So we're going to count that second-round pick as a wide receiver, a heck of a wide receiver.
Oh, yeah.
Who was going to be there in the cornerback market? We talked before the show. They signed Darius Slay. That's a short-term play. Minka Fitzpatrick's a stud. You've got Deshaun Elliott is your other safety. He's on a one-year deal essentially at this point. Joey Porter Jr. is a great young corner on the other side. Who do you want to be opposite him for the long term?
Yeah.
I like Jahdae Barron if he's still there. I like Shamar Stewart, the defensive end from Texas A&M. Going to be a tremendous run stopper. If you look at the measurables, almost identical to Trayvon Walker from a couple of years ago, the number one overall pick of the Jaguars. Yeah. The pass rushing skill set hasn't developed in Walker, may never get there with Stewart, but along the same lines, these are freak of nature athletes that defend the run extremely well.
Yeah.
You can't one-on-one them, and he has that 3-4, 4-3 edge potential. I think both of those guys, any of those three would be great picks for the Steelers at 21.
I'd almost like to see them move back. You know what I mean? Since they lost their second-round pick, there's not much star power there at 21. Collect some assets and move back. Still get that defensive lineman in a second. Get that quarterback in the third.
The question is who falls.
Right,
and,
exactly.
And is somebody in love with Jackson Dart at 21? Does Shadur Sanders to make it to 21? Does somebody fall in love with Tyler Shuck and want to go into the first round and pick him up? I don't know the answer to those questions. But the Steelers at that draft position, listen, as a Dolphins fan, we're picking between 17 and 22 almost annually. You're going to have a lot of options. I think the Steelers are in a really good position. Going to have to sit back, be a little patient. You're not picking until about 10:30 p.m. It's going to be a good night for Pittsburgh.
I like it. And make sure you check out, Paul hinted at it, we do have a live mock draft show happening Wednesday night, kicking off at 8 p.m. Check out the Gem City Sports Network YouTube page. That's it for us today. Erie, thanks so much for joining us. My name is Nick Artman, signing off for Paul Adamczak, Rich Smith, and Isaac Peck Cash out on the golf course. That's it. We're done. Have fun.
Happy drafting.